Can you tell me about your upbringing?
My upbringing was pretty good, actually. I lived on a 6-acre horse ranch with 63 stalls of horses. It was usually pretty full. And we would just board horses for a living. So people would come and they'd board their horses, and I grew up on a pretty nice property. Nothing too outstanding about it. Nothing was terrible, and it was pretty perfect, actually. So
how you were raised with your parents, like that turned out really well?
yeah.
Can you tell me about the time leading into your military service?
Before I was in the military, I was in a band, and we had gone on tour. We were signed by Rod Stewart's label, and when we got back from our tour, everybody jumped in a car with their girlfriends and just left me kind of in the van. And I went, I'm done with this. We had already been arguing a lot. And so I went to live with my sister for a while. And I saw this ad for the Marine Corps, these dudes moving through the bush. And I was like, I want to do that. And I just quit the band and went and joined the Marine Corps.
All right, so you were in a band, and then you just decided like this isn't working out for you, so you quit and joined the Marines?
It's kind of like the movie The Wonders, if anybody's ever seen it. I literally just got up. We were signed by Rod Stewart's like label, like so we were in like our manager was his son, kind of thing. And like I just got up and I was just like, later.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were already having problems, and we were doing drugs together, and it was a big deal to just kind of walk away. It was a good move, though. It was a good move. So,
you didn't contemplate any other branches?
I looked at all the branches. The Marine Corps, my stepdad's a captain, and then my brother, who I look up to, who's a police officer, was a Marine. So I was like, I gotta be a Marine, and I like the uniforms. So.
What were some of the thoughts going through your head when enlisting?
It's so far back, it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember. Just being in that unknown, I know I had to have been scared of the unknown. And then I was worried about getting all my waivers passed, because I had big hoops in my ears.
Yeah.
Which eventually put me in like a different platoon. So I did boot camp a little longer than most people did. But that's pretty much it. I was just worried about all that stuff. But once I got onto the bus, I wasn't really worried anymore.
Can you share some memorable experiences or lessons learned during service?
Most of my lessons learned during service were during boot camp. I was the only person to be promoted for their achievements within boot camp. So we had 60 people, and I was the guide who was in charge of all of them. And I never thought that would happen to me, going from the music thing to then going to that. Just, I guess being on a stage helped me just get out and just start yelling at people. It helped me kind of be on top a little bit, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But yeah, and then as a musician, I wasn't strong or buff enough to do like my whole 20 pull-ups. I could do like 12. But when I started boot camp, I could do 3. So I went from 3 to like 12. And my drill instructors pulled me into the pit, and they're like, hey, initially it kind of bummed me out a little bit, because they were like, you're not going to be the guide for graduation. Even though I was the guy all the way through. They just picked the strongest, buffest guy. He was like a football player, I guess like ex like college player, and he just got the dress blues and all that stuff, but he didn't get promoted. I was the only guy they promoted, so I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I got the meat and the potatoes. I'll buy the blues. I don't care.
Yeah.
Everybody does that. That was a pretty cool day. That was a pretty cool couple months. I was in boot camp for 5 months. Most people were in boot camp for like 3. And then some people go to boot camp for like 2 months, you know? I was in there for 5 months. It was a long time. It was an eternity.
Where'd you get sent
Afterwards?
When you got out of boot camp?
I got sent to Camp Pendleton for a couple months, and then to Pensacola, Florida, where I did some A-school training. And then from Pensacola, I got sent back to San Diego to Miramar.
What were you trained to do in A-school?
In A-school, I was trained to be flight equipment. Yeah, I didn't do ground side. I should have done ground side. I always regret that. But it was just A-school. A-school was flight equipment, which is pretty much taking care of the pilot's gear, and is on the helicopter, or fixed wing. We're parachute riggers. You know, we learned how to run a sewing machine, which was pretty embarrassing when when you get to A-school and you're all excited about being a Marine, and then you sit down in a sewing machine class. And then you realize when you get to the fleet that your job is literally the most sought after job in the entire squadron. You know, people are coming to you for favors. They're like, hey man, I need this done. Well, go get me like a 6-pack of Monsters then, and I'll get it done right now. You know, so we'd make deals. Yeah. You'd be on the Navy ship and you're the only one with like the coffee and because you have like stuff you can barter with the chief of the mess hall. And I walked right into his office and I was like, he's just, we need some coffee upstairs. Like, where do you work for? And I had a knife in my pocket and I went like this, put it on his desk. He's like, all right, where's your bag? So I got a parachute bag right here. A freaking parachute bag full of coffee. Imagine that. Leaving the mess deck. And I walked up to my command and that's the way you do business on a boat. You know, it's like a favor for a favor. And I hand him the parachute rigger bag and he's like, come here. And he yelled at one of his guys and he's like, fill this with coffee. And they literally filled it with coffee. And I started passing it out to all the shops. You know, and you become everyone's best friend when you're flight equipment because everybody needs you. You know, we don't necessarily need any of them for anything particular. Unless you're a pilot, you need them then to save your life. But, but we're like different. Everything they wear needs something sewn on it, you know, or they need like 550 cord for something in their shop. Or he's like, yeah, we got pounds of that. I mean, we need it. So it's pretty cool.
What ship were you on?
I was on the Essex, and I was on the Boxer. So one of them was a good experience. The other one was a bad experience. The bad experience was, it was right around the time we caught bin Laden. And we were at sea, and we never hit shore for 3 consecutive beer days. It's pretty, Mosey, if anybody knows what that means, they know that it's pretty terrible. It's like you're walking down the hallway and everything just goes like this. You get into your shop and everything closes in. People are yelling at each other in the mess deck. You have like people, and then the food is running out because we're way concentrated on taking out targets and not concentrated on actually the welfare of the people on the boat, because that's not really the biggest priority. You know, sometimes if there's rice and water, we'll eat that and we're good. But it's just a weird experience. It was weird. A lot of stuff you can't talk about and a lot of stuff you want to talk about. And that's how it works.
Were there any moments that you would say shaped who you are today?
I would say boot camp. I remember there was a particular moment when I heard taps for the first time, and I was in the guide's bed, which is my bed, in the front of the squad bay. And I was laying there and you're supposed to get attention. I was like, what is this? And I heard taps and then they told me what it was and I like started crying.
How long were you in?
Just under 2 enlistments. So like 7.5 years, not too long.
What was the transition back into civilian life like?
I can't even remember where shoot. Well, I started living in my truck. That was pretty different. I went from living on the boat to being in this tight little area. And I was like, well, why not just live in the back of my truck and outfit it? It'll be bigger than that space. It's like a mansion. So I'm living in this little tiny space to living in this big space, which is a little pickup truck, not like a big half-ton truck. We're talking a GNC Canyon. And I bought a camper shell that was insulated, but gutted, manufactured just for doing such a thing. And I built the interior. And I lived in that thing for 6 years after I got out. Some people would consider it being homeless, because I was.
Was this San Diego?
This is San Diego, yeah. If it wasn't San Diego, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it because the climate was perfect. When you're next to the beach, it's money. Yeah.
What'd your days consist of during that time?
Well, I had a surfboard that I mounted to the roof of my house, and I'd pull it out and I'd go surfing. And as long as I could surf for 15 minutes a day, it's considered a shower. So that would be like my shower because it kills all the bacteria on your body. And then I'd find jobs here and there, but I would never make enough money to like actually get a place to live in California. It was just like I worked at Whole Foods or I worked at a church as their janitor. It just wasn't enough money to, I don't know how people did it. They usually lived with their families or they were like, the kids living with the parents still kind of situation. And my family wasn't really anywhere. So the truck seemed like the best thing. It's not a terrible idea. It just wasn't a house. If it was a Sprinter van, I wouldn't feel so homeless. If it had like a shower. Yeah. So.
What led you to Texas?
My family lives here, and I was living in California, and I'm like, I just want to go get out of here. I was in a couple bad relationships. One woman was probably the worst, and I won't even bring her up, but she went to jail for like 6 months because of what she did to me, domestic violence-wise. I don't hit women, but I guess I should have just called the cops sooner. Didn't do it. But found out that she's pretty tied to like some pretty nasty stuff, so I had to like leave. And then I came here. So I feel pretty safe in Texas though. I'm not too worried about like a woman coming to beat me up anymore. I know now just to bear hug her and throw her to the floor if she gets bruised and oh well, she starts throwing fists, I'll hit. You know what I mean? I don't know what to, you don't learn that stuff in the Marine Corps and they don't teach you about the etiquette of a woman hitting you in the face. It just doesn't work.
So shortly after the move to Texas, is that when you started going to Media Tech? Or school? Is that when you started going to school?
Yeah. No, I was over in Fate, Rockwall. And I don't know if you call it Fate Rockwall or Rockwall Fate. I guess it's just Fate. Texas, and I wrote an entire album. And then I was just like, well, I'm gonna go to school for this stuff. And I started looking around, and I found media tech. So I got my audio engineering, recording arts degree, and then I just wrote another album while I was in school, and then I got another one from after, and it's been pretty fun, different projects, and that's actually helped me a lot, to be honest, because I get to express myself, and I don't have to deal with all the pain directly anymore. It gets exhausted, and that's a good thing.
Just having a creative outlet.
Yeah, the outlet helps. The outlet definitely helps.
When you got out of the Marines, did you have a positive VA experience?
I didn't even think to go to the VA until 6 years after, when I got into a court case, and the guy was like, my attorney, he was just like, why'd you not go to the VA? He's like, well, we're gonna divert for a mental health diversion, and you're going to the VA today. And then I went to the VA and the DAV, because that's where he told me to go. And I had gotten in trouble. You know, homeless people, they tend to get in trouble a little bit. And I went there and I started talking with the guy at the DAV, and then I started crying, and he was just like, just come with me. And he took me to the nurse's office, and he was like, and I started crying to the nurse. And he's like, are you suicidal? And I was like, yes. But it was more hysterical than that. I was just like, I lost it. It's just all sorts of stuff that just kind of piled on. And it just kind of started from there. And then I went to the La Jolla VA, then I went to the San Bernardino, Loma Linda VA for like another 45 days. Got out, immediately back in, 45 days. And then got diagnosed. Got sent to a rehab because I was drinking a lot. And that rehab actually pushed me through and got me my disability real quick. Because when you're in the VA system and you're to the point where you're going to the biggest in LA kind of rehab. We're talking a building that looks like it's as big as a ship, just full of people from all branches of the military. They send you over to the federal building, and then within like a month and a half, you get your disability, you get your compensation. And so people are in there, and they feel like this breath of fresh air, because they can't hold down jobs, or, you know, that was my case. I could never hold down a job. I was always doing like some kind of odd job just so I didn't have to hold down a job. Because when people got to know me, they knew that I was really messed up. Pardon my French. So, but the VA definitely takes care of you. You know, some changes that need to happen, but they take care of you.
Did you ever reach out to like a veteran nonprofit or just VA?
No. The DAV is definitely not part of the VA. So I reached out to them. That's pretty much it, though. They are in the building sometimes. But the federal building where I went to, they were outside the VA property. They were outside of government. Oh, there was a government property, though. So they allocated like the resources for that building. But they were really good people. You could call them every single day and they would answer. So.
Would you say you're at a good place now?
I'm 100% better than I was You know, you could always go to 200%, I guess you could say. You know, I could be in better shape or, but mental health wise, I'm better than I was. That's for sure. You know, with the proper medication and a support team, you know, you can do a lot more than you can without it. Even worse, you can get into a lot of trouble if you don't go to the DAV.
Do you have any advice for people considering joining the military?
Oh, what's advice? Do your pull-ups before you get into the Marine Corps. So that way when you get in, you can do your 20. Because 20 pull-ups will get you promoted faster than anything on the planet. If there's a criteria for getting promoted, pull-ups are like half of it. It's kind of weird, you know? So if you don't do your pull-ups and you spend your time drinking, you know, you're not going to do very well. So you got to do your pull-ups, keep the drinking to the side, have a good run time, be great at your job, and you'll do 20 a little more, and maybe you could be a sergeant major that quick. I know guys like that. Hey, you want to come out drinking? They're like, no. And now they're, you know, the sergeant major of MCRD. So it's pretty cool.
What are you interested in today? Hobbies and...
Today it's just modeling and making music and putting it out there, streaming and seeing if people will buy it. Not buy it, but stream it. Because we don't do that anymore. We don't sell music. I would like to find a job as like doing audio for film when I'm done with school. Or maybe work for a news network. That'd be kind of cool.
Is there anything you would like to share or add?
No. Nothing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyle.